We are in section 7, recommendations for practice success. For the exam, we need to be able to apply the recommendations for the service configuration management success and how they are supported by the or linked with the ITIL guiding principles. So these various practice guides for the various practices in ITIL 4, these are basically suggestions an organization might consider when creating their own practices and maintaining them. But at all instances, the 7 ITIL guiding principles should be followed. So let us look at the recommendations from ITIL for this practice as linked or connected with the 7 guiding principles. Just to recollect those 7 principles, we have the focus on value, start where you are, progress iteratively with feedback, collaborate and promote visibility, think and work holistically, keep it simple and practical, optimize and automate. We have got 2 slides on the recommendations. So the first one is to design the practice to provide service configuration information required by the organization stakeholders, meaning the information should be as required by the stakeholders, which means we are focusing on value and collaborating and promoting visibility because stakeholders need to be involved in understanding what information they need for the CIs. So the comment section tells us that the value of this practice is defined by those who will use the configuration information. Therefore, the requirements of the stakeholders need to be clear. They need to be discussed with them before the CMDB is built with all the needed information. There will never be a perfect CMDB because it'll also be expensive to create and maintain. It's more important that the value of the information to be put in the CMDB is clearly understood and then populated. Number 2, systematically review the scope of and the levels of detail in the CMDB. Again, it's a bit of connection with the previous recommendation as well regarding the level of detail, which is known from the stakeholders. And here we have therefore collaborate and promote visibility because different stakeholders will have to review that together regarding the scope and details for the CMDB, and also progress iteratively with feedback. Do not do everything once in one go and keep it simple and practical. If you have too much complexity in the information, then it's also not so useful. So which means regularly analyze the utilization of the data and remove anything which is unused, such as attributes, relationships, or even CIs. And particularly, this is to be done only after verifying the information on the CMDB and also updating it. Just randomly going and removing just by looking at some items and thinking that this is not good, so let's remove it, would be a bad idea. And continuously look at the changing requirements of stakeholders, the business environment, etc., and accordingly expand or reduce the scope of the CMDB and its information. Then the next one is about make the CMDB verification an ongoing activity because of the enormous amount of information which will continue to grow in there. So, and if you look at the principles here, optimize and automate because verification should be automated as much as possible. Keep it simple and practical, this verification and activity. Because of so much data in there, if you complicate the verification, it'll become even more difficult to verify and to reconcile or resolve those unverified items. And then do it in an iterative way as well, progress iteratively with feedback. It's possible that you may not be able to verify everything in one go. Therefore, let's look at the detail here. The regular audits will not be enough. It should be ongoing verification plus the regular audits. The audits can be selective, need not audit the entire CMDB in one go. And you can use maybe few months to cover the entire CMDB if you're a large organization. But automate the CMDB verification wherever possible. For example, verify the whether the information in the CMDB for a CI matches with the actual CI's situation. And sometimes manual verification will be needed. There are some CIs where manual verification will be needed, such as processes or certain contract information or organization structures, roles, etc. And so make sure that is integrated along with the automated activities. We have a few more recommendations. We have automate the handling of the configuration data where reasonably possible. The previous one was about automating the verification. I mean, make the verification an ongoing activity, and we saw that automate that as much as possible. But this one is basically automate the entire data handling, because there'll be continual inventory and discovery of the CI data, and so optimize and automate is the principle here. The data should be reliable for the stakeholders, and manual handling of data, like data collection, populating into the CMDB, modifying, correcting, updating, may lead to errors. If the data is less, it can be done manually quite well. But if there's large amount of data in a large organization, then automation will be needed. Otherwise, a lot of errors can creeping into the CMDB information, and stakeholders will get upset. Then the next one is to develop the practice continually, but do not overcomplicate it. So keep it simple and practical, progress regularly with feedback, develop it continually, that is, and start where you are. So begin with whatever critical data you need and whatever tools you have already. And if you want to make it complex, do it only when justified. If you want to add new domains, new classes of CIs, or more attributes to different CIs, do it only when needed or in an iterative manner. Overall, it should be manageable. Remember, one of the practice success factors is to keep the cost optimal for the practice and to make sure that the information is used. So there should be value from the practice before making a significant investment. Then we have the other recommendation for success: to involve third parties. Again, collaborate and promote visibility. Therefore, one might wonder, why do we need the third parties? We have seen in a earlier section about how there is dependencies on third parties, and also due to the tools and the various expertise that they might have. So make sure that once you are involving them, then they will need access to the relevant configuration information. But as you have seen, it should be handled in a sensitive way wherever needed. It's not like they are given access to the entire configuration data, but minimal access will be required, and based on the needs and the policies of the organization, share more information as needed. Then the last here is to demonstrate business value. So focus on value and collaborate and promote visibility. And we also seen something similar at the start. The first recommendation was to design the practice to provide service configuration information required by the organization stakeholders. That was also focusing on value and collaboration as well. Here in particular, the demonstration of business value can be done by measuring the practice and producing regular reports and dashboards for management, and such as internal management and external stakeholders both. And also do some regular analysis and highlight the findings. And this can be done using regular reports, periodic reports. But then at any time, if somebody wants to see a current status of the practice, such as configuration information, the CMDB, CMS, etc., then use real-time dashboards, if that is possible. And because it's all data-oriented practice, so the more things are happening continuously and real-time reflection of the status in dashboards, etc., the more useful it will be for the service management to be running smoothly.